When modeling in Intercalc 3D, the basic assumption is that connected members are fully moment connected at their common nodes unless they're explicitly released. And to create those explicit releases, we use what we call moment releases. So since it's common in construction to want to model things like simply supported beams, let's take a look at how we can assign moment releases to specific ends of members in our model. What I'll do is use the line select tool and just select a couple of these members as infill beams. And then I'll come to the Create tab and over to Member Properties, and notice that there's a Moment Releases item in the list. Also, if you happen to be more in the mode of modifying existing framing, you might be working on the Modify tab. And so there's also a Member Properties button there, and it offers the same Moment Releases option. Either one will bring you to this Moment Releases tab. When this opens up, you can see that you have the option to release moments about the major axis of the member, minor axis, and torsion. And then you have the option to release or fix those moments at both the starting end and the ending end of the member. So remember that when you look at the local coordinate axis system, the red arrow or line points along the direction of the member from starting end to ending end. So both of these members are drawn from left to right, meaning that the starting end is down here at the left. Now we can mix and match any combination of these releases, but I'll just pick something like this so that we can take a look at the graphics that are applied here. And we can see that at the starting end we have two axes released, whereas down here at the ending ends we see just one pin running through that circle or sphere. And so that implies that we've only released about one axis down at this end. The other thing to keep in mind is that the girders in this model are actually 3 analytical members each. So we need to be a little bit careful if we want to pin the connection ends of the girder. We need to make sure that we understand what's the starting end and what's the ending end, and we need to make sure that we assign those fixities to the correct members. So in this case, I've found that the two that I've selected both start at the column and are drawn toward the other column. So these would both be candidates for a start and release. So I can either come to Create or Modify, and then I can come over to Member Properties and then Moment Releases. And maybe for this one we just want to release the starting end about the major axis. And then I can click Apply, and we get the confirmation graphic there. And then the last step would be to come to the two members at the far end of the girder. These will require ending end releases, so Modify, Member Properties, Moment Releases, turn off the start, turn on the ending end about the major axis, and apply to selected members. Now these releases are stored in a table, so we can come to the Tables tab and then Member Releases and see each member that's received any sort of a release, and then the starting end and ending end about each of the 3 axes. And this table is live, so we can make changes in this table and then say OK, and here we see evidence of that change. The last thing to understand about releases is that they play heavily into structural stability, obviously. And if, for instance, we were to come in and release both ends of the columns in this model, it would become unstable. There would be no logical load path for lateral load to make it from the diaphragm down into the foundations. So always be sure when you use moment releases that you don't over-release members, and keep stability of the overall model in mind.